Hi, I'm back. It's me, Jacob, again.
Okay. Okay.
Are you okay to do it right now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so again, I'm Jacob. I'm here with Brayson Knurk. Can you state your name real quick?
Kathy. And my last name is Moss. Kathy Moss.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, before we get into things, can we get context on how impactful the Negro Leagues were in just shaping the game of baseball, but also like sports in general?
Um, it's a kind of subjective question. I'm not sure how influential the Negro Leagues was in influencing sports. Um, they didn't really, in the early days, they didn't really embrace the Negro Leagues.
Hmm.
I would say, I, I would say, I guess, in opening the doors for blacks in other sports.
Okay, yeah. And you think that maybe not just in baseball, but like basketball, football, too, stuff like that?
Yes, I think that when baseball did allow blacks to enter, um, and then the doors began to open in other sports. It kind of dispelled the myth that blacks were not capable of performing at that level.
Mm, okay.
Say for instance, in football, they kept them out of quarterback status for years because they said they could not understand the plays or remember the plays.
Hmm.
So I do think that when they integrated baseball and blacks were allowed to start playing professional sports, that dispelled some of the myths about their capabilities.
Okay. Um, from your point of view at the Negro League Baseball Museum, do you have any stories that players may have participated in that you don't think get enough recognition?
No, I think that the Negro League Baseball Museum has really helped to elevate the players. I think Major League Baseball coming on board has helped that. Of course, elevating the stats really helped that. So I don't know. That's kind of my answer to that question.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Thank you.
Why do you think Kansas City was the right location to house such a great part of African American history?
The Negro Leagues were actually started here in Kansas City in 1920. The team owners met together here and agreed to start the first Negro National League. Also, this is the home of the Kansas City Monarchs,
Hmm.
one of the reigning teams in the Negro League. And Kansas City just had a great history of sports, jazz, and people just, coming through the area. A lot of the black entertainers of those days played here, came here, and I just think Kansas City had a big reputation as being a good place to travel to and, to seeing things to do here.
Yeah. So I actually didn't know that the Negro League Baseball Association was started in Kansas City. So do you know? I know it was founded by Rube Foster. Do you know if he was born in Kansas City?
No, he wasn't home, and I can tell you where he was born. Actually, when he called the team owners together here, he had a part ownership in a team out of Chicago called the American Giants.
Oh, okay.
So he was not from Kansas City, but he called the team owners together here for a meeting and
Okay.
organized that first Negro National League.
All right. Thank you.
Where he was born. Something interesting about Will Foster, he had been a star pitcher in the late 1800s, and then he became a part owner in the Chicago American Giants, formed the first Negro National League, led the Negro League to being a successful business venture as well as a good baseball, association. He had a breakdown and spent the last years of his life in a mental institution.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yes, and I always thought that was kind of a sad end for somebody who had such a prolific life.
Do you think it might have been from just like overstimulation, maybe, or just the amount of things he?
That's a good it could have been from some of the stress. I don't know. It could have been from playing days, and it could have been maybe from some of the stress of leading. I've never been asked that. That's a good question.
Yeah.
He was born in.
Where was that?
I'm just laughing at myself because it doesn't say where he was born.
Oh, okay.
I know.
That's crazy.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a minute. I didn't read far enough. Calvert, Texas.
Oh,
Oh, Texas. Okay.
all right.
Yes, Calvert, Texas.
Thank you. All right, next question. What did the Kansas City Monarchs bring to the Negro Leagues and baseball history overall?
The Kansas City Monarchs, of course, were, we call them the royalty of the Negro Leagues. They were one of the
Literally.
championship teams of the Negro Leagues. I want to say they may have sent more, and don't ask me all their names, but it may have sent more players to the majors from the Kansas City Monarchs. They were owned by a gentleman named J.L. Wilkerson, and along with owning the Monarchs, I know probably one of his greatest claim to fame was he is the person that came up with the idea of a nighttime baseball game.
Oh.
So in 1930, the Kansas City Monarchs played the first professional nighttime baseball game, and Negro Leagues had nighttime ball for 5 years before the major leagues got it.
That's
That's
interesting.
pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, now that the MLB has acknowledged Negro League statistics, how does the alter public perception of these players and their accomplishments perhaps compared to MLB greats such as Babe Ruth or Lou Gehrig?
Sorry, that question was kind of long. If you need to repeat, we can.
Yeah.
You know, most people, especially people that are fans of the Negro Leagues, and that's whether you're white or black, were very happy to see their stats elevated, long overdue. Some people are negative about it. Actually, believe it or not, the museum has received some negativity, you know, from phone calls and things on our website. It's really interesting. One of the things that they were most disappointed with was Josh Gibson being elevated over Ty Cobb when it comes to.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
so crazy.
So
I know-
a lot of people weren't happy.
So Josh Gibson, he was like really good at hitting. I've heard, right? Is that correct?
Yes, he was. Josh Gibson, his position was catcher. He played catcher in the games, but he was basically the home run king of the Negro League, known at that time as the Black Babe Ruth. But people of that time era said Babe Ruth should have been known as the White Josh Gibson because Josh Gibson was better. He is thought to have hit 962 home runs in his career, and that's more than anybody ever in baseball.
That's
Oh,
absolutely
wow.
insane.
Yeah, but because of the time era that he played, and because of the fact that he was black, that record did not count until now. Something else interesting about him, he had actually had interviews with white major league teams before Jackie Robinson. Think about it. He was out there hitting all them home runs, and he was really the player they were interested in signing. But Josh Gibson had a drinking problem, and what eventually he died of was he had a tumor on his brain that erupted. So that caused him, he had erratic behavior on the field and off the field sometimes, and so the team shied away from him.
Dang.
That's interesting.
That
I see.
is-
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right. Finally, we want to make sure that this history is important today. How can individuals support the work of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in the future?
I think just by continuing to visit the museum. We are a non-for-profit, so we depend on memberships, visitors to the museum, and then we have special events that we do to raise money for the museum. We're in the process of trying to raise funds to build a new museum that will actually be located next to the building where the Negro Leagues were started in. And I just think if people continue to support us, and young people like you continue to do history projects
Mm-hmm.
and to keep the memory alive. And what the newspapers and, of course, well, I'm not sure about TV back in then, but radio and newspapers, of course, did not cover the Negro Leagues when they were playing at first. So it's great now, though, that we have social media, TV, and all that that helps keep us out there in the public domain, you know, and keep us noticed. Also, we are very fortunate that we're in a city that has a professional baseball team. And so the Kansas City Royals support us greatly, and I think that benefits the museum.
Sure.
Yeah.
Real quick, I wanted to also just point out like barnstorming. I saw this. I saw a picture in a book that I got from the K-State Archives, and it was Satchel Paige with. He was in the MLB. I'm not sure what his name was, but maybe like Will Ferris or something like that.
Was somebody in the major league?
Yes, I think. And then they
It might have been Dizzy Dean. Him and Dizzy Dean had a great pitching rivalry, and I think they would barnstorm around. It might not be who you're looking for, but I know he and the pitcher Dizzy Dean had a great pitching rivalry.
Dizzy Dean. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. You're so welcome. I hope I was helpful.
You definitely were.
Good luck with your project.
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye. And you too. Bye-bye.
Sweet.